I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but here I am. I'm 42, and until recently, I was married for 12 years. We have an amazing 10-year-old daughter who means everything to me. Like most marriages, we had our ups and downs, but I always thought we were solid. We both had trust issues early on, but I worked hard on myself and thought we'd moved past all that. I run a construction company that I started before meeting my wife. After we got married, she joined me in managing it, and things were going well. That is, until about 3 months ago when everything changed. I was driving to a project site when a delivery truck ran a stop sign and slammed into my car. I woke up in the hospital with a broken leg and arm. The doctors said I was lucky. No internal injuries, just the broken bones. They sent me home after a couple of days, but getting around was a nightmare. I had to lean on everything just to move from room to room. My wife seemed okay helping me at first. Whenever I asked if I was being too much trouble, she'd smile and say no. But after about a week, something changed. She started getting irritated more easily. When I tried talking to her about it, she'd just leave the room. Then something weird happened. She came home from work one day, acting completely different. Happy, energetic, almost giddy. At first, I thought maybe she'd had a good day at work, but there didn't seem to be any reason for it. A few days later, same thing. She came home in this incredibly good mood. I started getting this sick feeling in my stomach. After 12 years together, you notice patterns. This wasn't normal. But what could I do? I was stuck at home with 2 casts, barely able to move around. This pattern continued. Most days she'd come home tired and irritated, but every few days she'd be unusually cheerful. I tried convincing myself I was being paranoid, but something felt very wrong. One evening when she came home in another suspiciously good mood, I noticed she seemed a bit tipsy. She fell asleep quickly, leaving her phone on the bed. I'd never checked her phone before. We always trusted each other. But I couldn't shake this feeling anymore. What I found made me feel like I'd been punched in the gut. There were messages from Ryan, one of my site supervisors. They started professional enough, but then turned flirty. The dates matched perfectly. Every time my wife came home unusually happy, there was a message from him asking if she'd gotten home okay. I took photos of everything I found and put her phone back. For the next 2 days, I could barely look at her. How could she do this while I was injured? How could my own employee betray me like this? I needed to know for sure, though. I had to see it with my own eyes. I told her I wanted to visit the work site, saying I missed being there. She tried to talk me out of it, but I insisted. The whole ride there, my heart felt like it was made of lead. When we arrived, everyone acted happy to see me, except Ryan. He could barely look me in the eye. My wife kept hovering whenever he was nearby, something she never did with other employees. I knew then that the messages weren't lying. That night, when she came home in another suspiciously good mood, I decided enough was enough. I needed to hear it from her. I asked her to sit down with me in the living room. For a moment, I just looked at her, trying to find any trace of the woman I married. "Are you having an affair with Ryan?" I asked directly. She didn't even try to deny it. "Yes," she said, then got up and walked to the kitchen like we were discussing the weather. I told her to come back and sit down, but she just grabbed a soda from the fridge before returning. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you do this?" Her response shocked me even more than the affair. She said she had needs, and since I was injured, she had to look elsewhere. I reminded her that I was literally in a car crash and had 2 broken bones. I told her we could have figured something out if she'd just talked to me about it. She just shook her head and said it wouldn't be the same. No tears, no apology, nothing. She acted like I was being unreasonable for being upset about her cheating with my employee while I was recovering from an accident. I asked her directly if she was sorry. "No," she said. "I have needs. It's not my fault you got hit by a truck." I struggled to stand up, angry now. As I moved toward her, she stood up and pushed me hard. I lost my balance and crashed into our coffee table. The pain in my shoulder was intense. Then I heard the front door slam and her car driving away. She'd pushed over her injured husband and left without even checking if I was okay. What she didn't know was that our daughter had heard everything. When I managed to get up, I found her crying at the top of the stairs. She kept asking what happened between me and her mom, but I couldn't find the words to explain. I called the police. They came and took my statement, then had me go to the hospital to check my shoulder. Fortunately, nothing was broken again, but I was done with my wife's behavior. After putting my daughter to bed, I contacted a divorce lawyer. My wife didn't come home for 3 days after that. My daughter kept asking where her mom was, and I had to make up a story about her visiting a friend. But I wasn't going to let things end like this. My wife wasn't sorry about cheating or hurting me, but I was going to make sure she regretted her choices. First, I gathered all those photos I'd taken of her messages with Ryan. Then I started making calls. I contacted her parents first, then her siblings, then extended family and close friends. I didn't exaggerate or lie. I just told them exactly what happened and sent them the proof. Some responded with sympathy, others didn't respond at all, but I knew the word was spreading. Next, I went to the construction site. My wife clearly wasn't expecting to see me there. Before she could say anything, I announced that both she and Ryan were fired. She'd never been officially part of the company paperwork, just helped with management. Ryan had been with me for 4 years, but that meant nothing now. She marched up to me, looking ready for another fight. Instead, I handed her the divorce papers. She grabbed them and stormed out, but not before everyone at the site had seen what happened. The rest of the day was uncomfortable, with employees trying not to stare while pretending to work. Later that day, my phone exploded with angry messages from her. She was furious that I'd told everyone about the affair. But I wasn't done yet. I still had the police report from when she pushed me, and I intended to use it. I went back to the police station with my hospital records and the original report. I told them I wanted to press charges for the assault. They took it seriously, especially since I was already injured when she pushed me. The divorce proceedings dragged on longer than I expected. My wife fought against everything, but she didn't have much ground to stand on. The evidence was clear. She cheated, assaulted me, and showed no remorse. Plus, our daughter had witnessed the assault, which honestly broke my heart. No child should have to see something like that. My lawyer did an amazing job putting everything together. My wife ended up getting a week in jail and had to attend anger management classes. Having a criminal record wasn't part of my original plan, but she brought it on herself. I did make one mistake during all this, firing her before the divorce was final. Because of that, I have to pay her some money for 5 years. But it's worth it because I kept my company, my house, and most importantly, I got custody of my daughter. The judge wasn't impressed by my wife's behavior or the fact that she brought her affair partner around our workplace where our daughter sometimes visited. Some people might think I went too far, but I disagree. She didn't just cheat on me. She did it when I was injured and couldn't even defend myself properly. Then she assaulted me and left me lying there. She showed her true colors, and I made sure everyone saw them. A few weeks after everything settled, I got a call from another construction company. Ryan had put me down as a reference for a job. I couldn't believe his nerve. When they asked about him, I stayed professional but made sure to mention his history of inappropriate relationships with his superiors' wives. The person on the other end of the call thanked me for my honesty. I doubt he got that job. It's been 6 months now. My bones have healed, and I'm back at work full-time. My daughter is doing better. She's seeing a counselor to help her process everything. My wife, ex-wife now, still sends angry messages sometimes, but I just ignore them. She's living with her sister, trying to find a new job. Last I heard, Ryan moved to another state. The company is doing well. I hired a new project manager, a retired contractor who's been in the business for 30 years. He's teaching me things I never knew about construction, and he treats everyone with respect. The work site feels different now, better, somehow. Some evenings, when my daughter is doing homework and the house is quiet, I think about how quickly 12 years of marriage fell apart. But then I remember it didn't fall apart. It was broken deliberately by someone who was supposed to love me. Someone who chose to betray me when I needed her most. I'm not ready to date yet. My focus is on being a good dad and running my company. My daughter and I have started new traditions, pizza and movie nights on Fridays, pancakes on Sunday mornings. She still asks about her mom sometimes, but less often now. People keep telling me I'll find someone else eventually, but I'm not in a hurry. This experience taught me a lot about myself, that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can stand up for myself even when I'm down, and that sometimes the best revenge is just making sure the truth comes out. For now, I'm content with how things turned out. My daughter is safe and happy, my business is thriving, and I'm finally sleeping well at night. Sometimes the best endings aren't the ones we planned for, but the ones we fight for when everything goes wrong. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.